Hi, welcome to Comet Computer Private Limited Azure Public Cloud Training. So in this training, we'll be understanding how to configure and manage the Azure cloud infrastructure. So the training will be starting with the scratch so that anyone who is new to the cloud environment, even they can understand and they can manage the cloud infrastructure. So where we'll be starting from the scratch, where we'll be starting with what is cloud computing, and from there we will start. After understanding about what is cloud computing, we'll understand about the types of clouds like a private cloud, public cloud, and hybrid cloud. And also we'll be understanding about the cloud services. So there are a lot of services available. Out of that, the major services used by most of the uh, production environment is the infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So we'll be understanding about these three services. And after understanding the cloud services, so we'll be getting into the Azure's modules. So where we will be starting with understanding the Azure's global infrastructure. So for any cloud infrastructure professional, so they should be very much comfortable and they should have a good understanding about the cloud service providers, data centers, and their infrastructure. So where here we are going to start with the understanding about the global infrastructure of Azure. So where Azure has many regions and availability zones. So here we'll be understanding what is a region and what is availability zone, and how to choose the region and how to choose the availability zone based on your environment's requirement. And also we'll be understanding about the Azure account and its subscription. So based on your organization's requirement, creating a single account with multiple subscription or creating multiple account with multiple subscription. So after this understanding, you'll be able to decide based on your organization's requirement. So either go with multiple account or single account with multiple subscription, so you can decide on your own. And after understanding about the Azure accounts and its subscriptions, so we need to understand about the core services of the cloud infrastructure. The core services of the cloud infrastructure, that is the infrastructure as a service, is the compute, storage, and networking. So here we'll be understanding about the cloud computing's core services. So initially we'll be understanding about the virtual network of the Azure. So virtual network is something like your private network inside your LAN network. Similar like that, this virtual network is a private network inside the cloud. So here we'll be understanding what is a VNet, what are all the types of VNets available, and how to configure this VNet for your organization's requirement. So after the understanding of the virtual network, we'll also understand about the subnets, like how to divide or split the VNet into logical subdivisions. So there we'll be understanding what is a subnet and how to configure the subnet, how to uh, implement the subnets for your organization's requirement. And also we'll be understanding about the network security group. So we'll understand what is network security group and how to filter the traffic inbound and outbound for your virtual network, and how to configure and how to manage the security of your virtual networks resources. So we'll be understanding all these things. After understanding the network, and we'll be understanding about the Azure virtual machines. So here we'll be understanding what is a virtual machine, what are all the types of virtual machines available, and how to choose the virtual machine for your applications requirement. So we'll be understanding all those. And also we'll be understanding about the Azure storage. So here we'll be understanding what is storage account, or how to configure the Azure account, and how to configure the Azure storage account for your applications requirement or your projects requirement. And also in practical we'll be discussing with creating the Azure account. And after creating Azure account, we'll create Azure virtual network, and then the network security groups, and we'll create the Azure storage account. And also we'll create the Azure virtual machines, and we'll see how to connect the virtual machines using RDP. And also we'll see how to configure the Windows virtual machine as a web server. So where we'll discussing about how to install the IIS role, and how to add a new website in IIS, and how to configure a network security group to publish the web server in public internet, and also we'll see how to access the public websites from the public internet, and also we'll see how to configure a static IP for the web server. After understanding about the web servers, and we'll also understand about the availability sets. So here we'll understand what is availability set, what is fault domain, what is update domain, and how to configure this availability set for your application's requirement. And also we'll be discussing about the load balancer. So initially we'll understand what is load balancer, how the load balancer works, and also we'll understand how this load balancer can be configured for your organization's requirement. And after understanding the load balancer, we'll see how to configure the load balancer for Windows web servers, and we'll see how to configure the load balancer backend pool, how to configure the load balancer head probe, load balancer rule, and we'll also test finally how the load balancer is working. And also once again we'll be discussing about the Azure storage. So here we'll be understanding about the Azure Blob storage, and we'll be understanding the types of Blob storage, and also we'll understand the storage replication. And in practical we'll see how to create the storage account, how to create the storage containers, and how to attach an additional data disk for the existing virtual machine. And also we'll see how to attach an existing VHD to the existing virtual machine. And even we'll also see how to upload an on-premises VHD to the Azure storage account, and how to attach the uploaded VHD to the virtual machines. So we'll see all these things in practical. And also we'll discuss about the Azure file services. So here we'll see how to create a file share, and how to add files and folders to the file shares, and how to access the file shares from the virtual machines. And even we'll understand what is a shared access signature, and how to create the shared access signature, and how to use this shared access signature to access the storage account. And even we'll also discuss how to access the Azure storage account using Storage Explorer. And again, we'll be discussing about the Azure Recovery Service Vault. Azure Recovery Service Vault is nothing but a backup solution. So here we'll discuss how this Recovery Service Vault works, and how to back up the on-premises resources to the Recovery Vault, even how to back up the Azure resources to the Recovery Vault. So we'll be discussing everything in practical. So we'll see how to create the Recovery Service Vault, how to prepare the infrastructure for the backup, and how to install and register mass agent in on-premises targets. And also we'll see how to schedule the backup using mass agent, and how to take a one-time backup, and how to restore the backup. And even if you are not going to have the backup forever, and how to delete the backup from the recovery vault. So all these things we'll be discussing. And also we'll be discussing about the Azure App Services. So in this we'll see how to create app service, and how to create app service plan, and how to create and host Azure websites. And also we'll discuss how to manage the custom domains, and how to create and manage the deployment slots. And also we'll discuss how to scale up and scale down, and even how to manage the auto scaling. And also we'll be discussing about the SQL servers in Azure, so which is actually a platform as a service solution. So here we'll be discussing how to create Azure SQL server, and how to create a SQL database in Azure SQL server. And also we'll be discussing how to configure the firewall settings. And also we'll check how to connect the SQL database using SQL Management Studio. And finally, we'll be discussing about the Azure Active Directory. So here I will initially understand what is Azure Active Directory, and the features of the Azure Active Directory. And in practical, we'll see how to create the custom domain, and how to verify the custom domain, how to create users and groups in Azure Active Directory, and how to publish enterprise applications to the users and groups. And also we'll be understanding about the Azure AD Premium. So we'll be discussing the features of Azure AD Premium, and how to configure the Azure AD Premium license, and how to configure the multi-factor authentication, and how to define conditions for the multi-factor authentication. And also we'll be discussing how to configure the self-service password reset and the authentication methods for self-service password reset. And even we'll also discuss how to integrate on-premises Active Directory with Azure Active Directory, how to configure Azure AD Connect. So using Azure AD Connect, how to synchronize the on-prem Active Directory with Azure Active Directory. So we'll discuss all these things in practical, and that's all the topics which we are going to discuss in Azure Active Directory. And enjoy learning with Common. Thank you.